The desert heat shimmered across the range as the Marine snipers squinted through their scopes. Sweat ran down their temples, but the beads weren't just from the sun. Shot after shot cracked through the silence, and each one fell short, missing the mark by inches. Pride, discipline, and the weight of expectation pressed on them like a mountain. They had trained for this moment, yet the target mocked them from a distance, untouched, as if it were laughing. Frustration simmered. Some whispered that maybe the wind was impossible to read. Others muttered that maybe the men behind the rifles just weren't cut out for it. That was when the old veteran, silent until now, cleared his throat. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you were watching from. I love knowing who's listening. He wasn't dressed like them. His faded cap, sun-bleached and fraying at the edges, spoke of years under unforgiving skies. His boots, worn smooth, carried stories of battles long forgotten by most. The Marines looked at him with skepticism. He was older, slower, his hands lined with age. What could he possibly know that they didn't? But his eyes were steady. They had the calm of someone who had once seen chaos, stared it down, and survived. Without asking permission, he stepped forward, the gravel crunching under his weight. He didn't scold them, didn't mock their failures. Instead, he crouched by one of the rifles, his movements deliberate, like a craftsman returning to familiar tools. The Marines exchanged uneasy glances. Some smirked, ready to dismiss him. Yet something about his quiet confidence made even the cockiest among them hold their tongue. The veteran adjusted the scope with the care of a man handling something sacred. Then, he said softly, "You're looking at the target, but you're not seeing it." Confusion rippled through the group. Seeing but not looking? His words hung in the air, stirring more unease than clarity. He gestured toward the horizon. "Look again, not just at the target, at the heat waves, at the grass bending low, at the dust rising in swirls. The wind isn't your enemy, it's your messenger. Listen to it, and it'll carry your bullet home." Silence deepened. The Marines leaned in. He wasn't lecturing, he was revealing. For a moment, time seemed to slow as the young soldiers realized they'd been fighting not just the target, but themselves. He lay down, chest pressed against the earth, breathing steady. His finger caressed the trigger, not with force, but with patience. One breath in, one breath out. The shot thundered, echoing across the range. The target rattled, center struck clean. A wave of stillness swept over the field. No one dared move. The only sound was the metallic ping still ringing in their ears. Then, murmurs, whispers, disbelief. One Marine muttered, "No way." Another whispered, "Dead center." The veteran sat up, his face unreadable. He didn't boast, didn't even smile. He simply said, "It's not about power. It's about trust. Trusting your training, trusting your instincts, and trusting that even the smallest details matter." Somewhere deep inside, the young snipers felt a sting. Pride and humility collided. They had thought skill was only about muscle and precision. Yet this man showed them it was also about patience, respect, and reading the unseen. One Marine stepped forward, voice low but firm. "Sir, will you teach us?" For a heartbeat, the old man hesitated. He knew that teaching them meant reliving things he had buried long ago. Faces, names, battles that haunted him in quiet nights. Was it right to pass on lessons that came at such a cost? Or was it his duty to make sure they did not repeat the same mistakes? The moral weight pressed heavy on him. Finally, he nodded. "If you're willing to listen, I'll teach you. But only if you remember. Hitting the target means nothing If you forget why, you tired shades. See pulling the trigger. Day after day, he guided them. He taught them how to hear the whisper of the wind, how to breathe with the earth instead of against it, how to see the invisible patterns that dictated every shot. The Marines listened, and slowly, their bullets began to find their mark. The first time an entire row of targets clanged in unison under their fire, the stillness broke into thunderous applause, not for themselves, but for the man who had reminded them what true mastery looked like. Because wisdom isn't loud, it's quiet, patient, and unshakable. And sometimes the hardest targets to hit are not the ones downrange, but the doubts inside our own hearts. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. The same sun that once mocked their failure now gleamed against their rifles, turning shame into pride, weakness into strength. And at the center of it all was the old veteran, walking away slowly, leaving behind not just better snipers, but better men. If this story moved you, don't just scroll away. Share your thoughts in the comments, hit subscribe, and join us here for more stories that remind us, no matter the years or the battles we face, wisdom and courage never go out of style.